Welcome back to Chasing Chickens Family Farm. I am in the barn today with Petunia. She is going to help me demonstrate how I milk my dairy goats. Petunia is 2 years old and she just had her second freshen a week ago. Second freshen meaning she had her second batch of kids. She had 3 beautiful little bucklings, didn't you? She did so good. 2 of the 3 were mispositioned, so I had to give her a little bit of help, but other than that, she did everything really great, all on her own. And we have decided to bottle feed our goats. This is only the second time that we have had kids or baby goats on our farm. Last year was definitely a learning experience for us when it came to having kids born on our farm. She had 2 doelings last year. She was the first one to kid, and we weren't quite sure how we wanted to deal with raising our baby goats. We knew we wanted to make them or have them be extra friendly for their new owners, but we didn't know if we wanted to bottle feed them or let their dams or moms feed them themselves. So I think that it was probably close to 2 weeks before we decided to take her 2 doelings off of her and try to bottle feed them. And we never were able to get them to latch onto a bottle, so she pretty much raised them all by herself. We tried to handle them as much as we can, or much as we could, but they were nowhere near as friendly as the other 5 kids that we had from 2 other does that we were able to get to bottle feed, and we took them away from their dams much earlier. So this year I started bottle feeding her 3 bucklings. I believe today is day number 3, so they were about 3 days old or so, maybe 4 days old when I finally separated them. And the first day it took a little while, but eventually they got hungry enough and they latched on, and they are now eating out of a bottle just like pros. So I just thought that it might be a nice video to show you guys how I go about milking my does. I am by no means an expert. This is only the 3rd year that I have milked dairy goats. The first year when we bought her and her sister Delilah, which I have, her mom was in milk still. I was also about halfway through my last pregnancy, so I didn't have near the patience to be fighting with a doe to learn myself and her learn how to be milked. So I was not able to milk her for long, but I figured that everybody's got to start somewhere, so I will show you how I do it, and hopefully you learn something and maybe it encourages you to get some goats. So as you saw in the beginning of the video, I always clean up their udders and their underbelly, and I just use a regular old baby wipe that is free of any fragrances, and I try to get on the most natural baby wipe that I can. It's actually just what I use on my own babies, and I'll just wipe them all up. She's gonna dance a little bit for me because she's already ate part of her grain, but I just wipe them all up, wipe up their underbelly. And since she is only a week post having her babies, she still has some afterbirth gunk, if you will, that is a discharge coming out. So I do like to try to wipe around her tail, which she does not like at all. Wipe around her tail and her vulva just to, if there's any sort of discharge that is coming out when she does do her little dancing that she'll do for a little bit for me, nothing is getting all over the place. I also have just a little hand broom that I sweep up the milking stand because they've got dirt on their feet and on their bellies and everywhere else, and hair. Try to get it as clean as I can. And once I have got her all cleaned up, I also do use ropes, as you can see. With it just has a slip knot. It's hooked right up to my milking stand, and that just helps her from hopefully knocking over my pail. Not all goats need it. This is only her second freshen and the very beginning of it, so hopefully by the end of her freshen and milking her this time around, she won't even need them to be hooked up. I am hand milking for right now. I'm going to hand milk the first week or so, and then I'll switch over to my milking machine, which from last year, my experience with that, she seems to like better. I'm not sure if it's just because it's quicker or what it is, but I'll probably do a video on that as well. So once I get her all ready and cleaned up, I like to massage. I'll take my fist like this and I massage her udder just like the babies would. If you've ever seen baby goats nurse, they are quite aggressive with their mama's udder, so you're not going to hurt her. Just kind of massage her udder like this to help her release the milk. I haven't had much issues with any of my does holding back on me, but sometimes does will hold back their milk if they're just being stubborn. They can hold back their milk. You want to get out as much milk as you can, because more you milk them, the more it tells their body to produce more milk. So I just get it all massaged up, and then I will go grab my pail and show you the pail that I have, and then I will show you my technique. It's nothing fancy, just what works for me. Alright, so I just have this regular old cooking pot. I'm not sure, oh, it says right here, 6 quart, and it's a stainless steel besides the handles, and I have a cover on it for after I am done milking, put a cover on it, and I'll just set that down right underneath her belly, and then I will start milking. Now, what I have been doing with their grain, this time around, last year, like I said, was a bit of a learning curve, but I only am giving her about half of her grain right at the beginning, and then I will, once I start milking her, when she eats it, then she'll run out, and she just has to deal with that until the end. And then at the end, then I will give her the rest of it as sort of a reward. And she's been doing all right with that. So maybe that is a better way of doing it. Instead of, I know some people give it all right in the beginning. Some people will make them wait until the very end and give it all at the end. And I guess I'm just trying to do a little bit of both and see what works best. So I did go ahead and give her another handful of treats because she's being so patient with me recording. But when you milk, oh, I almost forgot. I always take the first couple squirts. I always just let them go, just squirt a couple onto the milking stand. Just because there could be a little bit of extra dirt in there, and you want to make sure that they're not clogged up. So since I had just started doing this again this year, and haven't been doing it for a long period, I haven't quite figured out the easiest way for me to milk and fastest way for me to milk out my does. But when I first start milking them, their udder, I milk them twice a day. So they have a 12-hour fill, and that usually, if you've got a good producer, their udders are pretty full at that point and pretty tight. So it is hard work on your hands. So I like to just do one side at a time until I've gotten their udders a little bit softer,
And then it's a little bit easier for me to manipulate their udder and their teats. And then I could start going back and forth. And when you are milking them, you just kind of have a squeezing motion like this, and you grab up top, so you grab up at their udder, and you squeeze out the milk, and it will go down into their teat, and then you squeeze with your other fingers to get it out. So it's kind of some sort of motion like this. You're not going like this, really. I mean, you know, you see people pretending to milk, and they go like this, but it's not really a motion more like that. You're really just using these first few, your thumb and your first few fingers to squeeze out the milk. And it is surprisingly hard to aim while you are milking. I am often squirting myself with the milk and missing the pail. My hands get tired. Usually my left hand will get tired first, which is milking her right side. So I just take a break. I know sometimes it's hard when you are watching people on YouTube, and especially people who have a lot of experience and they have found what works best for them. It might get a little bit discouraging when you try doing it like they do it and it is hard, or your goat doesn't like it, or it's just not working out. Pretty discouraging, but I've had more of a, I tried to anyways, have more of an open mind this kidding season, that I'm going to just do whatever works for me. Whatever gets out, gets the milk out. I am glad though that I did get my milking machine. It's nothing fancy. I just bought it on Amazon. I will get, if I can find it, I will get the link for you, put in the description of what I have. I would like to get something a little bit better in the future, but you really can't always just get the best stuff right away, because the best stuff is usually the most expensive stuff. And when you're first starting out, you don't even know really if you like it. So I guess here on our homestead, that happens sometimes. I think I gotta tighten up her ropes here, but our thought on our homestead is that you can't be scared to try, for one. I've only in the past about 5 years or so have been interested in getting dairy goats. I was very nervous to do it, to finally get them. But it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Hands definitely get sore. And along with not being scared to try, you can't be afraid to learn your own way and do things your own way. So just because you see other people do things, as long as you're doing what's best for your family and your animals, then that is the right way for your family. So yes, I would love to have the biggest, best, newest things, but I also get so much pride and joy out of reusing things and being thrifty with our purchases and whatnot, that I don't mind waiting to get the newest and the most expensive, and it doesn't always mean that it's best. Sometimes it means it's more complicated. Sometimes when my left hand does get tired, I'll just use my right hand on that side. You want to make sure that you're getting both sides out evenly, emptying them out evenly. Since my left hand tends to get tired much more quickly than my right hand does, I have to make sure that her right side, which is which side my left hand milks, make sure that that side gets emptied out just as much. I don't know if you could tell the foam that I got on top here. There it goes, not focusing. I'm quite proud of this foam because that happens when you are milking them fast. Last year, I never got any foam because I was quite slow. So, it's just a good example of keeping up on it, and it doesn't take you long to learn it. I'm sure everybody's heard practice makes perfect. I'm far from perfect, but it sure is rewarding to be able to have your own fresh milk. Whenever I stop, she always starts dancing again when I start touching her. But another good example of what I was talking about earlier with doing things your own way is just the way my chair is sitting and the way I'm sitting. So I always see so many people sitting like this, leaning over, milking their goats or even their cows. So of course this is how I started out doing it. But that was just killing my back, killing my shoulder and everything. So this year I decided to sit this way, and it seems to be much easier on my back. Getting empty. That's good, girl. Doing good. Doing a little bump in, just like the baby goatees would. Get every last drop out. So as you noticed, I do not have any sort of screen or filter on top of my pan, just because it's not a pan for milking, specifically for milking. So it didn't come with anything. Good job. But I do filter with a very fine mesh filter, which I will show you, and definitely try to get you the link, Amazon link for.
because I love the filter and funnel that I bought on Amazon. It gets out so much gunk, all of the gunk, the hair and everything else. Now for my after milking process is I try to do this process as fast as I can, because in order to get the best tasting milk for your family, it's best to cool down your milk as quickly as you can. So I will go put the lid on my milk and then show you what I do after I'm done milking her. And then I use this, hopefully you can see that, I use this Dairyland brand CHG Teat Dip to dip her teats, as it says there, Teat Dip. And this helps just keep her from, she's going to go lay down and mess around in the dirt, and it'll help keep any dirt and bacteria out of her teat orifices, the openings of her teat. After you milk, or after the baby goats drink from their mamas, the orifices are open. This also helps close them quicker. And I try to get her ties off. She's being stubborn. Quit pushing on her. Try to get her ties off as soon as I can, but she does not like that teat dip, so I keep it on while I do that. She's already done with all the grain. Well, I'm going to go ahead and go get her milk in the kitchen, get it strained out, put it into a glass mason jar, and get it right into the fridge to cool down as fast as possible. If you guys enjoyed this little tutorial on how to milk your dairy goat, please give us a like, subscribe, and comment what you might be interested in seeing in our next video. When we will see you again soon. Bye-bye.